Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring Garden series. Today I'm going to talk about 4 options for where to plant your veggies and the pros and cons of each. Maybe you want to plant your veggies in a raised bed, maybe you want to do it in an in-ground garden, maybe you're going to use containers, or maybe you're going to use a combination of all 3, or utilize an existing garden bed. Well, a lot of you started your seeds indoors with me about 8 weeks ago. We started with Joel, and it was a lot of fun to help him get his seeds started. Well, just to let you guys know, he is doing amazing. We haven't been able to get over to his garden to film because of everything that's going on right now, but he's already planted his seedlings and is even getting some harvest. So as soon as we can get back over to his garden to film, we're gonna do that. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss how his garden is doing. Now here I have some seedlings that we started with Joel on that very first episode. They're out here getting used to the outdoors, getting ready to plant them in the garden. So here I have a beautiful Marglobe tomato from the Spring Garden Seed Collection, some Italian large leaf basil, this one's actually growing kind of slow, some peppers and some other tomato plants, and another beautiful pepper plant. This is probably my favorite right now. Now if you started your seeds indoors with us on that very first episode, yours should be growing and coming along as well. If they don't look exactly like mine, don't worry about it. Things grow differently under different growing conditions, but you definitely should be seeing some good growth, and you can get them planted outside as soon as your last frost date is passed. So while my seedlings are out here getting some nice sunshine and growing, it's time to get the garden beds ready. Now keep in mind, where you plant in your garden really varies depending on your budget, depending on the space that you have, and depending on what you like to do. Remember, this is your garden. So plant your garden how you like it, and then experiment. See what works best for you, and even use a combination of the different methods I'm going to talk about today. The first option for planting your vegetable garden is just to choose an empty spot in your garden. Now you remember we did a video a few weeks ago on how to pick a spot in your garden, and this is the spot that I chose based on the sunlight that it gets. So if you missed that video, go back and watch it. So when you utilize an empty spot in your garden, that's just called an in-ground garden. So these 4 sticks here would represent the spot where I'm going to put my garden. Now the biggest advantage to an in-ground garden is its low cost. It's the best way to garden on the cheap because you're utilizing the existing soil. However, the disadvantage is it does require quite a bit of labor to dig up the grass, remove the weeds or whatever you have in this spot, and then you're going to have to add quite a bit of amendments so that your plants have the nutrition that they need to grow strong and healthy. Definitely factors that you want to consider when you're planting an in-ground garden. Now an in-ground garden is a lot of work, but it's actually a great way to start. In fact, I started with an in-ground garden right behind me here in the corner of my garden. But if that's not the option for you, a raised bed is a really good option too. Now a raised bed is simply a box that you build or that you purchase that you place in a spot in your yard, either on concrete. I have a very simple one right here that I placed right back behind this wall here. Now, don't be afraid, raised beds are actually very easy to build. If I built it, you can do it too. And we actually, camera guy and I built one last summer right here. It's about a 2x4 raised bed, I think. Super easy to build, and we'll pop a link to a video so you know exactly what to do. If we can do it, you can do it too. The biggest advantage to planting your veggies in raised beds is that it requires minimal digging. You just place the box where you want it in your yard, fill it with soil, and that's another big advantage of a raised bed is that you're usually using pre-purchased soil, so it has a lot of amendments and nutrients that'll really help your plants take off. Another advantage of raised beds is that they provide some structure to your garden. You have a nice little enclosed space where your veggies can grow. You can get creative with the type of raised bed that you use. Get lots of colors and textures and fun things that really add some interest to your garden. You can even utilize old materials that you have laying around your yard to repurpose it and keep the costs really low, or you can purchase a pre-made raised bed. The biggest disadvantage of growing in raised beds is by far the cost of the soil. Now, good quality, healthy soil is so important to the health and growth of your plants. You want to purchase the best soil that you can possibly afford so your plants grow healthy and strong and give you lots of vegetables. There's lots of ways you can keep soil low cost by making your own, purchasing it in bulk from a landscape company, but definitely purchase the best soil that you can afford for your garden beds. Now, one more advantage of raised beds is you can tuck them in little corners of your yard. We had a very small space here to utilize as a garden space, and we built a raised bed to fit that space. So just make it work for the space you have. Remember, it's your garden, make it work for you. Now, besides in-ground gardens and raised beds, the third option for planting your vegetables is to plant in containers. Don't think because you're short on space you can't grow vegetables. Containers are a great option if you're growing on a deck, a patio, or a balcony, or if you just want to expand your garden space. One of the biggest advantages to growing your garden in containers is the versatility. You can utilize just about any space and grow in just about any kind of container. So whether you have a large deck or whether you're growing in a very small space, like this space right here, you can grow veggies in containers. Now remember a few weeks ago we did a video on 3 veggies to grow when you can't get to the grocery store. I'm growing all 3 of those veggies right here. It's only about a 4 by maybe 5 space. We've got some greens growing for some salad, some peas, and some beautiful beans. So you can grow a lot of veggies in a little bit of space. You can grow veggies in just about any container. Look around your garden or your house, see what you have. Always make sure they have drainage holes in the bottom. I prefer growing in fabric smart pots over plastic containers because the fabric is durable, breathable, the roots have room to breathe, and the plants just grow healthier. And you can also put little drip trays under your containers to help protect your wooden deck. Another advantage to growing in containers is they're so easy to set up and maintain. You just pop them up, fill them with soil, add a few seeds, some sunshine, and you have a garden. Another advantage to growing in containers is the portability, which is one of my favorite things. You can move your containers into the sun, into the shade, depending on what you're growing, depending on how hot or how cold it is, and move them into different spots just to provide some interest and color and fun to your garden. Now, a disadvantage to growing in containers is the cost of containers and the soil. So keep it inexpensive. Smart pots are a really inexpensive way to purchase containers for your garden. Use what you have around the house, purchase bag soil, or make your own to save money. The fourth option for planting vegetables is to utilize an existing garden space. It doesn't have to be a space that you might have used for planting vegetables in the past. Maybe you have a spot up against your fence where you have some shrubs planted, or a garden bed up against your house, or maybe you were growing flowers in the past and you want to use it for growing edibles. So the biggest advantage of this is a lot of the work is done for you. The garden bed is here, the soil is here, you don't have to worry about building anything. The disadvantage is sometimes it's really hard to pull out plants to make room for new plants when the existing plants are doing well. Here I have some nasturtiums growing and a big huge blanket of nasturtiums growing over here. But as you can see, there's no shortage of nasturtiums in my garden. So on the next episode, what I'm going to do is show you how we're going to clear this space out, amend the soil, add some nutrients, compost, and that sort of thing, and get it ready for planting some tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers. So while it might be hard to pull out plants that look good and are doing well, you have to weigh that against the benefits of making space to grow your own veggies. Whether you plant your veggies in an in-ground garden, a raised bed, containers, or utilize an existing garden space, remember there's lots of different ways to garden. Just do what works best for you and don't forget to have fun while you're doing it. If you haven't yet started your spring garden, it's not too late. Get your seeds started. On the next episode, we're going to be planting these beautiful veggies we started on the first episode in the garden. So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any of our videos, and grab yourself a copy of my book, Organic Gardening for Everyone. All the instructions we talked about are in Chapter 5, including step-by-step instructions on how to build a raised bed. So grab one of these, a spring garden seed collection, get your seeds started, and save yourself $5 when you purchase the book seed bundle on my website, CallieKimGardeningHome.com. If you're just getting started, go back and watch the series from the beginning so you know exactly what to do. Well, comment below, let me know how things are going in your spring garden when you're planning on getting your vegetables in the ground. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.